everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Podium Conversations. We are going to get a look at Sean McDermott's latest press conference, and let's see what we can get out of it. Just so everybody knows, I really would love to keep these episodes under an hour. The other thing that I am kind of tossing up in the air, we'll get to that in a bit. As a matter of fact, I'll talk about that at the end of this. So let's move right into it because we don't have a lot of time, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. First and foremost, Lynn, you gotta what's going on, Bones? You gotta put that on one of the other videos so Keys can actually see it, because I don't know if he's gonna jump in here tonight. That doesn't happen every time, but we'll see. It doesn't matter. Either way, kill the music because we got to get to it. All right, so here is Sean McDermott. Let's jump right into this bad boy and see what he got to say.
All right, good afternoon. I'll give you the information I have on the injury report heading into this week here, at least as we know it today. So Ed Oliver, we are hopeful. We'll see where that goes this week. Matt Milano, he's week to week. He tweaked that pec in the game yesterday, so he'll be week to week. TJ Sanders, not ruling him out. We'll see where it goes. Going to take it one day at a time here, so we're still working through it. Dorian Williams improving. He's day to day, and we'll see how things go over the next couple of days with him. Connor McGovern hurt his hand during the game yesterday, last night, and we'll be hopeful that he can go this week. Dorian Strong, as you guys know, placed on injury reserve. This past Saturday, he's going to see a specialist. And then at this point, no decisions have been made on the guys that are currently on IR to open their window at this point. So we'll go from there. I think that should cover most of it, if not all of it. So if you have questions, happy to answer them.
With Matt, just clarifying, when you say tweaked, it was the same injury that he was dealing with?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
With Dorian, seeing the specialist, is there a fear that it is potentially, I know when you hear neck, it's potentially very serious, season ending? Do you have any other insight into that?
Yeah, I don't know much other than I don't think anything at this point can be ruled out at this point. So we'll see where it goes.
Sean, there was just a replay from
A bit of disappointment there. Decent amount of disappointment there. Eyes dropping, the frowning on the sides of the mouth. I mean, I think we could safely say that Sean McDermott really was, counting on his young corners to make an impact this season, and we saw Strong kind of getting a lot of opportunity, especially with the talk about Trey White struggling, and I mean, to some degree, I think we knew what it was when he came in here, and we had hopes that he'd be able to hold up in what was supposed to be a strong, zone defense. But man, this neck injury from Strong really sets the defense back probably a couple of months at least in terms of him being able to get back, get back up to game speed and then get right back to where he was, just a couple of weeks ago. It's going to take him some time, especially with a neck injury. He might be, if he's seeing a specialist, it's probably going to be at least 4 to 5 weeks before we see him. It's bad, and you can tell by Sean's face.
No much other than I don't think anything at this point can be ruled out at this point. So we'll see where it goes.
Sean, there was just a replay from the broadcast angle with Josh coming up limping a little bit yesterday. Is there anything injury front with him?
No, I just sore overall. I mean, as you saw, he took some shots there, and he plays extremely hard, but just sore overall at this point.
Similarly with Dalton Kincaid, looked like something with a hand there at some point. Anything on him?
Yeah, he's sore as well. Dealing with just some overall body soreness right now, and we'll see where that goes here.
You mentioned last night that in the second half in particular, just the disappointment stopping some of those passes by May. I mean, after watching the video, how did you feel that your secondary handled those situations? I know the rush also plays a role in that.
Yeah, I mean, like anything, we can do a better job overall. Coaching, playing.
Woo.
It's never just one area.
He is
It's
not
never just
comfortable right
coverage
now.
or just rush. It's a shared deal there. So I thought the quarterback extended some plays and made some good throws, and we've got to make more plays on the ball overall.
Wow, let's back that up a little bit. So we got shrugged shoulders. He squeezed his arm. We saw that. Like his whole body pretty much tensed up. When he got to answering that question, you got a little bit of contempt when the chin goes up there. Like kind of it's one of a bunch of different signs of contempt. Is when chin goes up like that, when you kind of turn your nose up at something. It doesn't necessarily mean condescension, but it could just be, just from a standpoint of like, I really don't want to be, I don't need to be answering this, but like that's that kind of deal. Let's back this up just a little bit. I want to get a good look at all of those all together.
Like anything, we can do a better job overall.
After watching the video, how do you feel that your secondary
The eye blinking too as he gets to answer. Sorry.
handled those situations? I know the rush also plays a role in that.
Yeah, I mean, like anything, we can do a better job overall.
Squeezed his
Coaching,
arm.
playing. It's never just
Shoulders
one
are
area.
going up.
It's never just coverage or just rush. It's a shared deal there. So I thought the quarterback extended some plays and made some good throws, and we've got to make more plays on the ball overall as a defense. I think we had one, and it was a defensive lineman in terms of the pass breakup part of things there. So,
and you can tell in his breathing too. That's another thing that's often pretty subtle with kind of reading body language is the cadence with which they speak. Right, whenever Sean is answering a question that makes him very uncomfortable, you can kind of tell his breathing changes. There's a little more breath after, like whatever sentence he's saying, there's extra breath underneath that. He's letting out a little bit more. He's taking deeper breaths before he gets to the next thing he says. All very subtle stuff, but again, all indicators of him like really being uncomfortable with the question. I've said this before, and I think I said it last night too. There's a reason why Sean McDermott doesn't get asked the hard questions, right? They ask these questions in the nicest possible way, and there's still a strong level of discomfort that he cannot hide in his body language. If it's building up that much within him that he really just it's coming out, it's basically it's pouring out of his body, right? Because he's not expressing it and consciously expressing it, it's being expressed subconsciously through the body. But again, to go back to my original point, for him to have this level of discontent with those types of questions, that should give you a clear picture into how much of the tough questions he's eliminated from the line of questioning that he endures on a consistent basis, right? And I don't know about any other teams, but I've seen Aaron Glenn get asked some really tough questions in New York, and he was a little combative, and that's fine. If a coach gets combative or defensive or whatever, cool. But at least he can take the heat, and at least he can get through it without losing his mind. If he turns into Denny Green, then he turns into Denny Green and scream at the media, but don't restrict them from doing their job. And here, because of the power of the Buffalo Bills and the effect on the economy they have, unfortunately, they have a lot of pull when it comes to that kind of stuff. There's a lot of people that are at risk of losing their jobs if they start to ask these kinds of questions, and it's just one or two people. You know what I'm saying? It would literally have to be something like last night where it's widely accepted, okay, we're all going to ask, something that's maybe a little difficult, and the head coach has to understand that that's going to come, especially when you lose in front of the entire nation, right? So there's that aspect to it, but on a regular basis, based on some of the things that I've seen and heard and stuff that's been reported, These reporters are going into these press conferences trying their hardest to ask a question that's not perceived as being hard, but still being able to get some kind of answers about whatever they can and whatever's going on that's causing us to not win at the level that we're capable of with the players that we have on this team. So let's get back to it.
We've got to do a better job there.
What do you make of the lack of PBUs from just your secondary as a whole through 5 weeks?
Which was zero
the game is making
in the game
plays,
in the game Sunday,
plays
by
on
the
the
way.
ball, and that's kind of the obvious part. And
Back
you want
that
to be
up
able
so
to
you can hear it.
challenge.
Secondary as a whole.
Well, I don't think we talked about this. The corners, the DBs in general on Sunday night, 0 pass breakups. We had 1 from another player on the Bills, which happened to be AJ Epinesa, if I'm not mistaken. They counted his thumb hitting the ball that should have been caught for a touchdown on Trey White. But because his thumb, caught the ball, they count that as a pass breakup. It is what it is. But yeah, 0 PBUs from the secondary on Sunday night.
Through 5 weeks.
Yeah, well, the game is making plays on the ball, and that's kind of the obvious part. And you want to be able to challenge, and in order to do that, you got to be in great position and have your eyes in the right spot and play with great technique, and then when you're one-on-one. And so that's an important part of playing good defensive football.
You're well known for, every week you always say we have things to clean up. Does it hit home more after a loss, to the team, do you think? Does that message get through even more to the team after a loss like that?
You would hope. Yeah, we've done a good job, I would say, overall. You're never perfect of responding when things haven't gone well result-wise. Myself as a coach and us as coaches, and the players do a really good job with this week to week too, even following wins, of being honest with themselves and being truthful in our conversations. And
So let's back this up a quick second here. And I'm going to get to your comments in just a second. I just want to show you this next quick cluster here. You'll notice a little bit of movement over in this cheek area here. And then we got the eye blinking that follows that. I need to look at it again because I didn't see anything else at that point in time, but let's check it out again.
Things to clean up. Does it hit home more after a loss, to the team, do you think? Does that message get through even more to the team after a loss like that?
You would hope. Yeah, we've done a good job, I would say, overall. You're never perfect of responding when things haven't gone well result-wise. Myself as a coach and us as coaches, and the players do a really good job with this week to week too, even following wins, of being honest with themselves and being truthful in our conversations and objective.
Okay, so most of the beginning of this answer is Sean kind of leaning in and kind of talking up. That's another subtle thing that people do when they're in defense mode, or when they're kind of feeling tested or challenged or whatever the case is. They guard their neck, right? Any type of chin dip is a guard of the neck, which is subconsciously considered a weak point. It's, for some reason, humans from all walks and from all walks of life do this. It's just a natural animalistic thing that we do whenever there's perceived danger, right? Is we guard our soft spots. And when we feel threatened, we guard. So the dip in the chin, he picked his head up a little bit towards the end of the question. He's kind of already dealt with the hardest part of it, which is formulating the answer and kind of, working his way methodically through it. But in the process of him thinking that up, he's guarding his neck. So again, the reason that I'm calling all this stuff out as I'm watching these press conferences, to be clear, is just we have a head coach that believes so strongly in his process, his game plan, everything that he's implemented into this locker room and into these players, that he doesn't feel it needs to change. Aside from coaches, what has he changed? Is he more lenient this year? He's been more lenient in the past, with players in particular, for sure, right? But he's got supreme control over literally everything that happens with this team. And the only time he lets up is when he's trying to remove pressure from himself, right? After Leslie Frazier left, and let's keep it a buck. Leslie Frazier left not because he was trying to take a break. He left because somebody in the Bills came up to Leslie Frazier and said, we're going to have Al Holcomb be your senior defensive assistant, but we need you to give him your playbook and we need you to give him your notes and your game plans as soon as you finish them every week. And it came off to Leslie as this kind of like, well, are you babysitting me now? Like he kind of saw the writing on the wall. They just fired their special teams coordinator, and now there's all this extra attention to Leslie Frazier's game plan. Say what you really feel at that point is most of what Leslie Frazier's probably thinking. But he after he was asked that is when he decided, like, I'm out. I'm out. I can't. Whatever story y'all need to come up with to cover me leaving, do it. I'm fine with it. I'm not gonna fight y'all on that, but don't fight me on leaving. Right. So again, when I'm looking at Sean's defensiveness, when I'm looking at his tells and all these different things, I'm thinking from a big picture of, this dude has done so much stuff to kind of, put strings on everything so that he can just manipulate it and continue to be this behind the scenes master of this game plan of the development of this Buffalo Bills franchise. And I'm not saying that we all have to be victims. If anything, I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying we have a lot more power than we think we do when it comes to this team. We just have to exercise it realistically, but that comes with, people stepping up and showing this stuff and trying to get to a point where we all kind of see it for what it is. And we all start to, come to our senses and realize, yeah, even though we win in a lot of games, we're not getting what we really want, is the acknowledgement of Super Bowl pursuit. Right? Because it used to be championship caliber. Now it's just playoff caliber, right? They took that down. They didn't put it back up after we made the AFC championship game, yet they put Super Bowl caliber up right after we made the first AFC championship game. Why? Ask yourself that for a second. Why? Why would they take that down 4 years removed from an AFC championship game, and then make another AFC championship game when they really didn't expect to, and not put it back up, right? So again, there are aspects of the way that they conduct their business that show you what their true intentions are. Anytime you want to get an idea for what a person is about, look at where they devote their resources. That'll tell you right there. Look at where they devote their resources. Look at how the team is scouting players. Look at the types of players they draft. Look at the types of players they sign. Where's the money going? Right now, a third of the money, and I can say this confidently without even looking at the salary cap, a third of the entire salary cap is going to defense. And when you look at the salary cap on Over the Cap, or if you go to, wherever else you want to go to look at the cap, it's going to look like the Bills are spending equally on both sides of the team. However, you got Josh Allen's massive contract hanging on that offensive side. So that eats away at a bunch of what any of those guys on offense can make, right? Which means if you do the math, subtract Josh Allen's contract, and then look at the chunk of money that's left going to all of these offensive players, and then look at all the money that's spent on defense. That's the focus of this team, is we want to win games with defense, and he's trying to win games with a defense that is deficient and incapable of accomplishing what he wants to accomplish with the scheme that he's trying to do it with. classic case of I have no idea what I'm really doing. I've been a good coordinator, but at the end of the day, I really don't know what wins big time games in the NFL. He still has a losing record against quarterbacks with a record of 500 or better, still, including the playoffs. So I really hope people begin to pay attention. I really do. Let's get to some of these comments here. Let's see. To a side, I don't even think I'm gonna just read yours anymore. I'm gonna skip right over yours. Let's see. That Brandon Bean crash out on WGR again, real bad. Aging real bad. Yeah, exactly. What up, Sweat? Bone says that sucks. Dorian was looking promising. McDermott is genuinely concerned. Yeah. He should be. He had to go back and bring Spector back to the team. That's how bad it is. And the fact that you had to go back to Spector tells me, like, realistically, how long is this list of players that you got, waiting in the ready for whenever you need them to, to come help you out on the team? Like, how long is that list really? Because if Balin Spector, decided he wanted to go backpacking through Europe or something like that, and he didn't want to come back, then what? What were you going to do? You know what I'm saying? If you hadn't secured that dude to just wait around for you to call, it's crazy. Dingerist says, watches the Bills win against the Falcons and the rah-rah fans think everything is back to normal. That's probably what's going to happen, bro. That's probably, the Bills are one of the best teams in the league coming off a loss. That's the truth. There's your positive stuff. Bone says, pissed with the secondary performance. I think just about everybody is. Let's see. Sunny Son Brian says, we need to make a move. Buy Knox, buy Epinesa. Hello, Hendrickson, please. Now they just got Flacco. They just traded for Flacco today. The Browns traded him. I don't remember what the compensation was. But Flacco being able to play with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and I think they still got Gesicki there. That could be a nice combination. I don't think he's ever had weapons like that either. So to give him that offense and let him just kind of rip and run, it'll be very interesting to see how they manage that and see, what kind of points they score. But all that's to say, I don't think Hendrickson is up for, and he just signed a massive deal too. They gave him a massive 1-year deal, I think, to hold him through this year. And then I guess they plan on letting him go after next year. They said they wouldn't franchise him or anything like that. So Bone says Knox is a Bill for life. They're never moving him. Yeah, I think that's real. What's the down on Knox? I don't think there's a down on Knox. I mean, again, this is a guy making $13.5 million, only getting 2 catches a game. And I feel like if the Bills had targeted him the way that they were targeting Kincaid, and Knox is more of a guy that you got to scheme open, but listen, let Kincaid be your man beater, scheme some things open in the same plays where you're scheming Knox open, and let Kincaid do what he do against whoever. And now all of a sudden you got 2 really good options at tight end. Now you're able to play a little more 12 because teams have to worry about both tight ends, and you can really just play 13 for formation the rest of the season at that point. Because if your tight ends are destroying the league the way that the Patriots were with Aaron Hernandez and Gronk, man, what is there to talk about? You can run the ball for sure with that 13 formation. You can put Josh up under center. Now your play action game is super live. All the stuff that you can do out of that, I would love to see that. If they never got into shotgun ever again and they only played 13 formation the rest of the season, I think I would love it. Mwah! Perfect. Chef's kiss. Few more comments here, and then we got to get back because we don't have a lot of time left. Lynn says, I would hope it gets through to game plan and preparing of the players by coaches and staff. I mean, look, the thing with game plans is, and man, there was a coach that said that said this. Vrabel, if go back and watch the locker room video of Vrabel talking after they beat the Bills, and he was saying, "Hey, we can give you the game plan, but you guys got to go out there and make it work. Like, you guys are going out there doing the actual work. Like, we just giving you the X's and the O's. Like, y'all go out there and make it work." That's the coach who truly understands what it means to be an NFL coach, right? Partly because he played in the NFL at an elite level for a team that won multiple Super Bowls. So this is a guy that's able to live the role that he's playing with the Patriots right now. That's why their learning curve and their development curve has sped up so much in just 1 year, right? So again, all that is to say, all of these X's and O's and money ball that Sean has been trying to play with the Buffalo Bills, this is not a guy that he didn't play at an NFL level. He didn't. He played in college. He was all right in college. His claim to fame is wrestling. Winning national championships in wrestling in college. So this ain't like, I don't want to get this twisted as if, you know, Sean is giving these players the best possible game plan and you know, it's the players that's going out there and screwing it up. I get the turnovers. I get the penalties and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, if your head coach is on his game and he's looking at the offensive game plan and he's seeing all of these cute plays in there, hey, whoa. Take that out, take that out, take that out. Because if I saw that, I would murder that. I used to be a defensive coordinator in the league, right? You saw what I did with the Panthers in 2015, right? I would murder that play. Get that out of here. We ain't doing that. We ain't doing that. You gonna try to run a speed option with Dawson Knox? Who was gonna block for Knox? Yeah, one guy. Everybody else was charging the other way, including Cook. Like, I thought the ball was gonna be a fake speed option and toss to Cook. That seemed more like the better option from my perspective. But man, imagine them handing that ball to Dawson Knox. No, I can't do it. Sunny Sun Brian says, look at the players we could have traded for in the previous draft. All the wide receivers we could have selected from pick 15 to 25. Man, your boy BTJ looked pretty good last night, didn't he? That boy BTJ looked pretty good last night, didn't he? Yep. Bone said, I forgot I can click these and bring them up on the screen. Ravens signed CJ Gardner-Johnson and traded for the safety. Yeah. Alohi, I forget his name. But yeah, they should be much better at safety. Starks, his shoulder needed surgery before the season. So the fact that he tweaked it, they're probably just going to have him get the surgery, leave him out for the rest of the season. That's the only reason you make trades of this caliber, or make a trade of that caliber and sign a guy of CJ Gardner-Johnson's caliber, is if you plan on that guy being out for a while. So, now CJ Gardner-Johnson is going to come in and play that Hamilton role, and Alohi, the other safety, is going to be that Malachi Starks role. So, yeah, Puppet Masters. That's exactly right. Crane Boy says, when I saw Spectre, I almost puked. Yeah. You should have seen our Discord chat, man. It was crazy. Keys turned beet red. I know he turned beet red. He put something in the chat, and not a lot of us reacted to it right away. But man, when folks saw that chat lit up. It lit up. Let's see. Lynn says, does our scouting department even look at the other team's cuts to see if there's any new blood that could really help rather than just retreads? So I'll answer this one, and then let's get back to the video here. Actually, you know what? I'll answer that one, and I'll get to Joe Nuts here, and then we'll go. So to answer your question, the way the Bills do it is they have a short list of players from every team that they think fits their culture and is a fit for the Buffalo Bills. I don't think that list is very long, to be perfectly honest. I don't think that list in terms of all 31 other NFL teams is very long at all. You know what I'm saying? That there might be some guys that they think can help them this year, but most of the time it's going to be players that a team is probably not going to let go. And if a player does let that guy go, or if there's word that they are getting ready to let a player like that go, it's probably like a Rasul Douglas who's on the downturn of his career and probably only has one more year left in him, of like really good play. And we saw that with Rasul Douglas specifically. So I thought it was a very good point yesterday that Key brought up, or I'm sorry, not Key, Steve Lynn brought up with regard to Stephon Gilmore. I mean, this is a guy that has played at an elite level for almost a decade, and at one point was the best corner in the entire NFL, and he can't get a job right now. And yet, Jalen Ramsey, who's been on that level before too, still looking pretty decent in Pittsburgh. You know what I'm saying? Him and Darius Slade still looking pretty decent in Pittsburgh, right? Why not call Gilmore and see what's going on there? See if you can get him in. I mean, you can trade Curtis Samuel away and free up about $7.5 million, maybe $8. You know what? Before I just start talking out the side of my neck, we can check right now. Okay, so Curtis Samuel, where is he? All right, so Curtis Samuel he's got a base salary of $6.9 million this season. He's got a per game roster bonus. He's got a workout bonus. So his guaranteed salary for the season is $6.91 million, right? If we were to cut him, we would save. Oh no, this is the cut him. We need to trade. So this is trade post June 1. Where is he? All right, so yeah, so we would save $7.34 million, and we would take on a dead cap hit of $1.7 million. That's nothing. That is absolutely nothing in order to free up $7 million. So I would do it. I would totally do it. Find a way to get Gilmore in here for, $5 or $6 million. And that way there's no pressure on you to go and rush Dorian Strong. There's no pressure on you. There's no necessity for Dane Jackson to come off the practice squad. And you got a guy who's been in Buffalo before and people know and like. I don't know about Love. He's been gone for a while. He played for the Patriots and criticized us. I don't know if you love him, but if he can help us, especially in a zone scheme, that should be easy for a guy like him. And he for sure has not had any kind of knee or leg injuries like Trey White has had. So I can't imagine that he would be, less agile or less athletic than Trey at this point, but who knows? All right. Laura, what up? I want to get to this. Joe Nuts comment here says, we need Hairston and those D-backs who are in suspension. Defensive backs who are in suspension. We don't have any defensive backs on suspension right now. Benford needs to get his ish together, and Trey needs to go back to the bench. That with regular offense play should equal success. Well, I can tell you, we said this last night, actually. Hairston is doing individual drills. If he's not doing them, and I just talked to Damaris about this today, if you're not seeing Max Hairston doing individual drills on the field before games, that means he's still in the process of I guess the end of the transition of healing and the beginning transition of getting into, practicing and doing drills and stuff like that. So he's still pretty early on in that process of ramping up to being able to practice. So that seems to be what Sean McDermott was saying in terms of it's a unique injury and the fact that he's still on IR right now, 5 weeks into the season and about to be 6. So based on what we're seeing now and based on my conversation with Damaris, I would probably say it's we're not going to see Hairston come off of IR until at least the Chiefs game, right after the bye week. Maybe they bring him back that week for the Chiefs game just to start practicing, but we're not going to see him in that game. I don't even think we see him really play at all till week 10. I got to be perfectly honest. And a lot of that has to do with my report of him having difficulty picking up the playbook, right? So I think him still being in that ramp up period, the bye week is a week from now, right? We'll be, a couple days into the bye week. And then a week after that, I think within a 2-week period, we should be able to start seeing Max Hairston doing drills on the field during games, which means he's probably a week or two away from being from his practice window being opened up and coming off of IR. So that's probably the most likely prognosis for Max Hairston right now. In terms of the DBs getting their stuff together, the neck injury is no joke. The Hairston situation is no joke. Right now, Trey and Dane and Jamarcus Ingram and Cam Lewis is all we got. It's all we got. And who do we have to thank for that? That's really what it comes down to. That's who we got to thank for that. Let me see. Yeah, no, I agree with that, Joe Nuts. Yeah, I agree. When he gets back, it'll definitely be an athletic upgrade for sure. We obviously, he's a rookie. We can't guarantee that there won't be mental mistakes, but that's the challenge you face every time you play a rookie. And at this point, I'll take it. I'll take the risk. Just please play one of the younger guys. Any one of the younger guys. All right, let's get back to this press conference. We got to get this thing over with.
On things we need to improve on. So that's, no different this week. But, the result that we got and how we were basically playing uphill all night, I think the guys felt that, and that's no way to play a game.
Given that this team has been known for not beating itself for so long, that you did that. How uncharacteristic was that? How, I don't want to say concerning, but just what did you take of the fact that you beat yourself for the first time in a while?
Never good. Don't want to live that life. Like I said, don't want to play that style of game. It's really hard to do that and come out on top. And it's a good reminder for us. If we handle it the right way, it's a good reminder for us of how you really don't want to play and don't want to live that type of life. And why it's important we stay on the details, we stay disciplined, and we stay urgent in our approach. We finish plays, and we take care of the football, make good decisions with the ball in our hands. And all those things are kind of the foundation of what leads to the results.
You mentioned after the game wanting to review the film before fully weighing in on the separation from the wide receivers, which you were asked about. Now that you've had an opportunity to do that, how did you view that?
Yeah, there was times where we had some, there was times where we didn't. I thought overall, we want to get more. It's easier said than done, though. They're playing good defense. They're doing some things. They did some things that they hadn't shown maybe on tape as well, and affected some of the scheme part as well. So again, it's never just one piece. It's all 11 making one play go, and we didn't do enough of that from the start, in particular in the first half. Second half was better. If you look at just the results of the second half per series, and then we had the one drive there in the second half where we turned the ball over going in, and you can't do that either. You got points, and so all these little things add up to, making the game more difficult than it really needs to be. And so, again, hopefully we can learn from those situations.
Was there a specific reason why Keon Coleman did not play in the first offensive series?
Yeah, discipline. Yeah, head coach discipline.
Something throughout the week?
Yes.
That's not the first time that you've been through that with him. Is that disappointing in the sense that, I don't know what the specific issue is, but is it disappointing that there is an issue that created the need for that?
Yes. Yep.
What have your conversations been like with Keon then, making sure this doesn't continue going forward?
Well, we expect more, and he has shown growth this year. He has. We're looking for more consistency.
Consistency in like any specific area?
Growth, maturation.
Oh, hold
that
on.
leads to for more
No, don't be
consistency.
condescending, bro.
Consistency in like any
Hold on.
specific-
I need to.
We expect more, and he has shown. Yes. Yep.
What have your conversations been like with Keon then, like making sure this doesn't continue going forward?
Well, we expect more, and he has shown growth this year. He has. We're looking for more consistency.
Consistency in like any specific area?
Growth, maturation. That leads to consistency more than anything, and like anything else, you have winning habits. It leads to winning on the field, and so that's really what we're trying to create, and that's what we're here
Okay.
to do is help young men in this case grow and mature and develop and become professionals, and that's part of the process.
Okay.
Game,
So he's talking about getting to meetings on time, because that was the issue before, is that he got to a meeting late. That was the reason for the last discipline. So it sounds like it happened again. And from everything that was reported last year, he wasn't disciplined anymore after the first one. And he this is his first time this season being disciplined, so it probably won't happen again this season. But when Sean said habits, that took me to, because I was already thinking that he was talking about habits when he talked about growth and maturation. He's talking about Keon's habits, right? That's anytime Sean is thinking about, the maturity of a player, he just wants to know that a player is going to take a workmanlike approach, meaning he's going to be on time, he's going to be focused when he gets there, and he's going to be ready to perform, and he's going to have a good attitude about doing it, right? Not saying that, Keon is defiant of any of those four things, but he's a young player. He's a young player. And here's the thing. I'm not sure that the way they've disciplined him so far is going to curb the behavior, right? And here's what I mean. Once you get into public discipline for a player, and let's be real, we know Keon Coleman is a starter. We know he's always out there at the beginning of a game. If he's not, and then we find out it was because of discipline, that is a public issue at this point, right? So you're taking something that he did in private and you're putting him on blast for two reasons. To get the point across that you can't do that, but also for him to deal with the embarrassment of being exposed for not, the players know why he was disciplined, but we don't. But all we see is he's being an issue, right? But the problem I have with that is now you're developing a stigma for the player, right? What you're essentially doing is you're creating this perception on Keon Coleman, who's now been disciplined twice in 2 years publicly, that if the Bills decided to let him go tomorrow, oh well, he was probably a diva. He's probably a knucklehead. He not coming to meetings on time. Blah blah blah. Like I've had conversations with the guy. I know people that know him. Like he's a good dude, right? But none of that will ever get out. None of that will ever get out. We'll ignore the bubble coat. We'll ignore the cookies. We'll ignore everything else the second they release him, and we'll only talk about how he got disciplined twice in 2 years for what I think is probably the most likely the same exact thing, which is being late to meetings. You didn't have to do it the first time for being late to a meeting. You could discipline him in the building. There's other things you can do other than you're not going to go out on the field, right? Knowing that everybody knows you are going out on the field. That's like them sitting Josh down. Like, what the hell is Mitch Trubisky doing on the field for the first play of the game? Is Josh injured? No, it was a discipline thing. Well, what did he do? Well, he was late to a meeting. That's why you don't put Josh on the field? See, that's the issue I have with this. If it was Cook, we not like I'm sorry, actually it was Cook when Cook fumbled, they sat him down. Josh throwing interceptions all over the place. Now he got to stay in the game. He got to stay in the game. Too important of a player. We can't. No. He got to stay in the game. Like you can't set a double standard like that. And Sean preaches that he doesn't set a double standard. Everybody's got to earn their spot, except Josh, except Trey White, except Benford. I can keep going. Matt Milano, starter, soon as he came in. Tremaine Edmonds, starter, soon as he came. Deion Dawkins, starter, soon as it. Who did they beat? Who did they beat? But we're disciplining a young player publicly like this for coming late to a meeting. That's the only part I disagree with. I still think Keon should be disciplined. Don't get it twisted. But to do it publicly like that, not necessary at this point in time. It's really not.
How his day began, being disciplined. How do you factor in that fumble, and how do you address that with him, knowing that he's trying to grow and develop?
Well, mistakes happen. I mean, accidents happen. None of us are perfect, including myself. And there's an element of, hey, how can we learn from it and grow? And there's also an element of, hey, are we given, separate of this situation specific to Keon, but we're playing hard. Are we playing hard? Are we playing with the right technique? Are we playing with detail and the proper level of discipline and everything that leads into looking for the winning results that we look for in terms of how you handle those situations. So you're always trying to teach, always trying to grow. None of us are finished products, and yet at the same time, these guys have to make sure we're taking the urgency in our approach to execute the way we need to execute.
And you've gotten a lot from Matt Milano in his career here in Buffalo. You've been with him the entirety of it. It's 3 years running now, though, that he's not been able to stay healthy. What do you do in a situation like this where it's becoming increasingly more difficult to rely on him to be able to stay on the field?
Yeah, no, that's what it's been from the standpoint of his injuries the last 2 to 3 years, as you mentioned, Jay. And I don't want that for him. Nobody wants that for him, and nobody works harder than Matt Milano to stay healthy. And so right now it's going to be a next man up for this week, and we'll take it one day, and apparently now 1 week at a time, and just see where it goes.
Is injured reserve a consideration for Matt?
Not what I'm being told at this point. So
Your film review over the last, 18 hours or so, cornerback specifically, both Christian and Tre'Davious, what did you see from them? And then the totality of the season, are you concerned at all at the level of play there between those two guys who've started a lot of games for you?
yeah, they're both good football players. I've seen them play better than they did last night, and you look at it and say, hey, are we winning enough outside one-on-one? And the answer last night was no. So we've got to be able to win those one-on-ones in key situations of the game, and we remain confident in both those guys.
The secondary as a whole, with you guys, it's always been predicated on communication, right? Is that something that you feel like the group of them, Taryn included, the safeties, they're still working through?
I would say to some extent, yes, just because we're still somewhat, it's not new in the season. It's not a young season, but we're now going into
He doesn't
game
know.
6 and some of the communications.
He doesn't know. I want to hear
Cole
this
being a little
question
bit
one
new
more
back
time,
there
but he doesn't
and
know.
things,
He just gave it away.
It's not new in the season. It's not a young season, but we're.
They're still working through? With you guys, it's always been predicated on communication, right? Is that something that you feel like the group of them, Taryn included, the safeties, they're still working through?
I would say to some extent, yes, just because we're still somewhat, it's not new in the season. It's not a young season, but we're now going into what will be game 6 and some of the communications, we got, Cole being a little bit new back there and things, but, overall, I feel like their communication has been good. It's just more right now, are we making enough plays?
Okay, so here's another little subtle detail here, right? So there's two different shrugs, right? There's the tension, the tension shrug where you're kind of like you're squeezing. It's like you're kind of you're curling up, right? That's your defense mode. Like, I'm trying to cover up, or I'm tensing, right? I'm irritated, I'm tensing. And then there's the one shoulder, which usually signifies unsurety of whatever it is that you're being asked, or whatever it is you're saying about the topic you're talking about, right? Usually if you get one shoulder, think about that when right? That's usually what one shoulder means. I just need to make sure that there's something else that goes with that. Give me 1 second.
Right? Is that something that you feel like the group of them, Taryn included, the safeties, they're still working through?
I would say to some extent, yeah.
Yeah. So we got the mouth movement. That one. Oh my gosh, how can I explain that one? That's a tough one. Like, we do that a lot. You'd be surprised how many times you do it when you're talking. I don't know. We just saw him do and then raise the shoulder and the head tilt. That's not projecting confidence. And when you project confidence, it's a subconscious thing that happens whenever you're sure about what you're saying. But look at the head tilt, the shoulders up. He's looking down. He already gave you the frown of I'm not really sure. I don't know. He don't know if it's a communication thing with them. He don't know, right? Most of the time, that's going to be a better question for the defensive coordinator to answer. That's if I'm trying to be nice and defend Sean McDermott, right? But he's the mind behind the defensive scheme. So if anything, this is his baby. He is hands-on heavy when it comes to the defense. It wouldn't be his scheme if it wasn't, right? He would let Babish decide whatever you want to do. I got you. I'll be patient with it. Just do it. Then you can say, that's probably a better question for the defensive coordinator. But he's trying to answer that. Why? Because he knows at the end of the day, I'm the defense. I'm the defensive guy. I'm the guy that came here as a defensive guru from back in 2015, taking the team to a Super Bowl based off of what I was doing with players. So it sucks to see this, but I mean, you see the shoulder, you see the. I don't know why he would do that, other than the fact that he don't know.
Yes, just because we're still somewhat, it's not new in the season. It's not a young season, but we're now going into what will be game 6, and some of the communications, we got, Cole being a little bit new back there and things, but overall, I feel like their communication has been good. It's just more right now, are we making enough plays? Because you got to make plays at the end of the day. Make plays on the ball, and then come up and tackle well, and that's all part of it as well.
Out of Cole so far this season?
Yeah, I think what you saw last night was a young player that kind of hit a couple plays there that he wants back, especially towards the end of the game. Prior to that, I thought he was playing well and had shown signs of improvement. And that's, when you're dealing with a young player, you're going to have some of those games or some moments in games that you want back. And but that is all opportunities for him to learn, and then for us to continue to have him grow and move forward.
The message after the game is you hope your guys are taking improvements out of this and learning from this game. But you've been coaching this league for a while. Is there sometimes a necessity for a team that aspires to do the kind of things you do to go through a game like this as maybe like the reset of like, hey, let's get back to work, let's try to attack this next week? Is that the way you approach it at all? Does that ever show up in the tendencies of how you coach?
I think perspective. I think it starts with perspective is in terms of where we're at, where we're trying to go, how we're trying to grow. Making sure we've got the right outlook on things, and if you use things the right way, they are messages to your team, to you as a coach, to you as an individual, that yes, we can improve, and here's how we need to improve. And that's everywhere. You look at, are we doing the right things practicing wise? Are we doing the right things in meetings? Are we doing the right things, in terms of, do we have the right people out there, right? So you're constantly assessing the team and where the team is and how the team can move forward and making sure it doesn't slide back. And so, so the short answer is yes. But that's not easy either. You can't just say, hey, it's going to be okay. We've got to make sure that we are managing things the right way and trying to move our team forward in the proper direction.
What Josh has done for this team, and in many ways I'm not questioning it, but it looked like he was pressing at times yesterday, wanting to run a little bit more. Did you see that in him?
I think at times maybe, overall, but Josh is a competitor, right? He wants to win, and so he's going to do what he feels like he needs to do to help his team win. So I'm never going to question his competitiveness, and I think some of it was just that. Other times maybe trying to do a little bit too much, but Josh is Josh for a reason. I mean, as much as he makes those great plays, somewhere in there he's going to show that he is human once in a while, and he wants some of those plays back. I mean, he's as competitive with those plays after they don't go his way as he is with the great plays he's made over the years. And I mean, he's the human eraser. That's what I refer to him as. He makes things go when there's nothing there to be had, and he is who he is for a reason. So
told you
he drives the level of play of everyone on our football team.
Yep.
Had started the first 4 games with a touchdown on.
It don't get no more clearer than that. He just told you. He just told everybody everything they need to know about his approach to the team. He called him the human eraser. Every mistake that we make as a team, Josh. What more needs to be? He just told you everything that I've been saying, everything that Key's been saying about the team's approach regarding Josh Allen and regarding how they draft, how they sign it. We could do whatever we want. Josh is the human eraser. We could do whatever we want. It don't matter. Oh, I'm so glad we finally caught that. Oh, validation. Mwah! It's perfect. It's perfect.
On each of your opening drives, so slow starts weren't a problem for the offense. Yesterday, however, 2 lost fumbles in the first quarter, 5 accepted penalties against. Anything stand out to you in terms of how that switched so much that you started so slow yesterday?
When you look at it, and you're spot on, the first half was slow. I thought that the offense did a really good job at halftime, led by Josh, of just resetting, and you have to be able to reset. But ball handling on the jet sweep to Dawson sounds or looks simple, but it's not. And that was the first fumble, and the second fumble, I believe, was Keon's. Correct me if I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. Again, it's what we preach, and as I said to the team after the game, we played the game the way that they wanted us to play the game, and we can't do that. So,
well, why is that though? Why is that? Because again, if you go back and you watch the post game video of Mike Vrabel in the locker room with the Patriots, he kept saying identity. Right? This is something that we hear around the NFL a lot. What is the team's identity? He talked about identity. He ain't say culture. He didn't say the Patriot way. He didn't say any of that stuff that they feed to the public. He said our identity. That's the bottom line. The team that comes in knowing who they are and knowing how they're going to be themselves is the team that usually shows out best, right? Saints still figuring themselves out. Dolphins probably lost a lot of their identity due to injuries or players that they've let go since the inception of this Mike McDaniel's Dolphins era, right? The Jets, year one of that entire show, no identity yet at this point. They are falling apart, right? Ravens, their identity has been Lamar running the ball, making amazing plays on offense, and this offense that has exploded. And if you really pay attention now, the identity for Baltimore is the offense. It is, right? They're giving them better weapons. They're investing in Derrick Henry again, right? Because they gave him an extension after they got him in last year. So the you can tell what a team's identity is by what they do. But the Baltimore Ravens just traded away a pass rusher. They just traded away a first-round pick that was a pass rusher that had 10 sacks last season. They are telling you what their identity is by what they put on the field. If Sean says Josh is the human eraser and we got a bunch of, B+ level players, around Cook and Josh, and we're not able to out physical a big physical team like the Patriots, and they march up and down the field on us, that should tell you it's a tale of two identities. A team full of guys that really don't want to tackle, and a team full of guys that's ready to punch somebody in the mouth. Who's more motivated at that point? Who's going to get it done at that point? The team with the stronger identity, the team that's playing like they know exactly who they are. Not the team that's trying to pretend to be physical. The Bills ain't never really been physical. We see a few pop plays here and there, but there's a reason why Shaq Thompson's play sticks out over any other player on the defense right now. There's a reason why that dude is making plays. There's a reason why Joey Bosa is making plays. Those dudes they've been dogs. Since they got in the league, they've been dogs. So when they come in the game, they know what time it is. You step on my field, I'm trying to put you down in the ground, under the ground, right? That's how they play. I don't see it out. I don't see it out of every player that we've drafted. I just don't. Max Harrison out there smiling for everybody, taking photos and being everybody's friend. And he can't even get on the field. Learn the damn playbook. Identity. Come on, man.
We've got to get back to reestablishing and really grooving our fundamentals, our detail, our discipline. Those are the things that have made us good for so long, and you cannot get away from those things. And the minute you do is the minute it starts looking like that. And that's just not who we are.
You said yesterday that at times it was a little too cute. Was the Dawson Knox play kind of one of those? Where
just overall. There's a lot of different ways that could go, and I don't want to single out one play. It's overall just more physical.
I don't want to go into detail about that.
Some of the, you get
I don't
a
want to
couple
give you any
plays
ammo
here
to
and there
call out Joe
like
Brady.
that.
That's what that answer is.
We're going downhill, and we're going to run through people. And but I don't want to single out a play. It's just, back to basics.
What did Jimmy Charlo do to earn a spot on the active?
I mean, Jimmy's approach every week, every day really is he's one of the first ones in, one of the last to leave. His story. It's been documented, I believe. And he's got great energy every day, no matter if he's up for a game or not up for a game, which to me speaks volumes about who he is, his character. Football's important to him, and he's a big-time team player. So I'm happy for him, and he went out and competed his first NFL game. And, I was proud of him because it wasn't too big for him. He went out there and inspired people by his play and his effort, and honestly, those are things you look for.
What?
You mentioned needing more from the wide receivers.
Y'all lucky we got to get out of here.
A matter of there more play calling, scheming that you can do to help those guys.
I got things thinking on that. I'm sorry. These are the things he's inspiring other people with his play. Who? Keys, I'm sorry, but who is Charlo better than to justify he earned a spot on the team? Who is he better than? Name another practice squad linebacker other than Jimmy Charlo right now. I'll wait. I don't want to get in the habit of putting guys on this team because they're inspirations to civilians. I don't want to get into the habit of looking at a guy's habits and looking at a guy's character and saying, that could be a hero for a small child in the stadium somewhere. He needs to be on the field making plays for my team. How do you know if he's going to actually make a play? I didn't even know Jimmy Charlo played in the game yesterday. I didn't hear his name once. Did you? What are we talking? This is, oh.
Got to win some one-on-one battles too.
Yeah, probably both. Yeah, I mean, there's things we can always do as a coaching staff. You're always, I mean, I'm going back right now, looking at it again, and I had to take a break to come down here. But just making sure, you know, you put another set of eyes on it one more time, looking at it through a different lens maybe. But yeah, again, it starts with all of us looking at ourselves and saying, hey, how can I be better, and what do I need to do to grow? And there are one-on-one situations as well, and then, you know, it's like I said, it's not always just, you know, one player or one position. So it really starts just with that foundation I mentioned a few minutes ago of just making sure we're disciplined in our approach, we're detailed, we understand where I line up and how that affects the overall outcome of the play.
Kincaid had a career game last night. What has impressed you about his work ethic this season?
Yeah, again, here's a guy coming out of last season that was questioned a little bit, and his work ethic has, I think, really speaks volumes for who he is, and the results are a result of his hard work. He is highly competitive, driven, wants to be as good as he can be, and I think every catch he makes, you kind of feel that you see the passion that comes out, and I love watching him. It's fun. It's fun to watch him play.
What did Jackson do to earn a jersey yesterday?
Yeah, you know, he's handled being inactive the right way. I think that's, again, where it starts. And then we felt like we needed to get a little bit more physical on first and second down with bringing a bigger body into the mix there.
Really?
And he had
Really? Bigger than Epinesa? Bigger than Greg Rousseau? Bigger than Bosa? Really? We needed to get more physical? Really? I need that video of that dude. Really? Like, you can't be serious with that. You can't. Look at his face.
And we felt like we needed to get a little bit more physical on first and second down with bringing a bigger body into the mix there. And he had roughly 15 to 20 plays and did some good things in there. So we'll see where that goes this week. Thank you.
Unbelievable. 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 Yes, I do, Laura. I love McDermott. I really do. I'm gonna get to a few of these comments at the end here. I apologize for not getting to everybody. Again, I'm trying to keep this under an hour. But let's get to a few of these comments here. Zoomer says, can you even fire McDermott with all these subpar players? We will need a complete rebuild. See, that's the thing. I when we lose games like this, I don't blame the players. I really don't, because there are ways to employ these players in a defensive scheme that allows them to shine, right? Every team in the league has linebackers that are 6 foot 220 right now. That's the way it is in the NFL. All these linebackers are cover linebackers. Very few teams have big, big lumbering, run stuffing linebackers. I don't think there's. I can't think of any team. Maybe the Chargers. Maybe the Chargers and some of these other odd front teams, they have to have that because the linebacker, especially the middle linebackers, would play such a big role. But even go and look at the Denver's linebackers. Both of those dudes are not big dudes, right? If I'm not mistaken, Green Bay's middle linebackers are on the smaller side, so that they can cover in the pass game. But they're better at shooting the gaps. See, that's the thing you got to be able to do as a smaller player. You got to be able to shoot gaps. You got to use your speed as an advantage to beat blockers to the spot. That's the difference. You don't, and this is why we showed the play yesterday. If Bernard had shot that gap and gotten to the spot, he would have forced Stevenson to kind of squeeze his. Bernard would have squeezed the lane for Stevenson, which would have pushed him right into that tight end, and that would have allowed Cole Bishop and Trey White to kind of converge and get him probably 2 yards before the goal line, right? With also on top of that having slowed his momentum, right? So again, a lot of what we're looking for with the players is how are their advantages being used, and I don't think this coaching staff under Sean McDermott is being allowed to use every single player that we have to their advantage, right? If we wanted to get Landon Jackson on the field right now, and use him in a way that benefits the team, you can put him out there as a run stuffer. You can put him out there right now. He knows how to set the edge, but you don't want him out there as a pass rusher. He didn't have enough tools. His handwork, his technique it's not sound enough for him to be trusted to be a pass rusher, but he can play the run, right? And so maybe that was what Sean was talking about in terms of having a bigger body out there, but who knows? Matt C says Bills are doing the same old-ish circling the wagons on washed up former Bills like Spectre. It's clear this front office doesn't get it. Absolutely. Matt then goes on to say, if Allen doesn't get us to a Super Bowl by his age 33 season, we need to trade him and move on. He's got 4 years to get it done, or we just have to move on from it. So here's the thing. I actually think it will benefit this team if we keep Josh until he's 45. And the reason I say that is, as soon as Josh gets to the point where he doesn't have the speed to kind of take off and burn defenses in that way anymore, the team is going to be forced to put a better offensive line in front of them. What that also means is our run game is going to be that much better, right? So you go from having an offense like what we have now, where the offensive line, even some of the guys on WGR are saying this now, the offensive line is kind of like, some games they do well, some games they don't. And you go from that to, we got to protect Josh. We don't have a choice. Now you're talking about Eagles offensive line, Lions offensive line, even the offensive line that the Patriots are building with Garrett Bradbury. I didn't even know they had Garrett Bradbury as a center. He's a great young center that came from Minnesota. I see why they're able to protect May up the middle and run the ball up the gut whenever they needed to. Like they're building something there, right? So real quick, Daquan says, no, we have the players as high. Exactly. Thank you. Yep, that's exactly what I was saying. Right now they're a screwdriver. We need them to be a sword, like the Terminator 3 for sure. Yeah, right. Nate says Ratbirds linebackers are bigger, but they are injured. Bet you John Harbaugh could get the Bills a chip. I don't know. There's a very popular thought process that John Harbaugh's decision making at the end of games and his ability to keep a team focused and to keep a team driven at the end of games is worse than Sean McDermott's. So I don't know if I would take that. I mean, the fact that John Harbaugh already has a Super Bowl, you would naturally lean towards that. But what did Harbaugh have when he won it? He had a defense with Ray Lewis on it. What? I just don't know if that's a guarantee that Harbaugh would definitely do it. Get to one more. I want to get something from somebody. Oh, Reginald Johnson says Josh only plays offense, not defense, coach. Yeah. Oh, that might have been in reference to me saying that Josh is the great eraser. No, but so even if this is to me, from what it sounds like you're saying this to Sean McDermott. But I think in terms of erasing things for the defense, you can trip and fall into 30 points, which helps the defense. You know what I'm saying? If the defense makes a mistake, Josh will go and score 40. No big deal. Lions game last year, no big deal. We gave up 40, but we scored more than the Lions did, right? The Rams game. If we didn't have Josh, that game is over in the first half. If we didn't have Josh, so he's the great eraser. He's the great eraser. So, all right. No. Okay, so X, he says, behind. So he came in late. It says Sean has a winning record versus 500 teams now, but agree. No. So what I was saying is that Sean McDermott. I did a study on this last year, and what I found was that Sean McDermott has a losing record against quarterbacks with a 500 or better record, right? So if you're a quarterback that is winning more than you're losing, 9 times out of 10, you have a winning record against Sean McDermott. And that's kind of what I came out with in that study, and I didn't even include playoffs. Obviously with playoffs, there's a slight bump to Sean's wins because of the divisional round win and the wild card win, but not as much as you would think. Not as much as you would think, because he played quarterbacks like Mac Jones. He played quarterbacks like Tua, and Bo Nix. You know what I'm saying? So it's still bad. His record against good quarterbacks is still bad. That's what he is. That's what he is. Yes, this is a good spot to end it on. Every failed year has one thing in common: McDermott. We fired special teams coordinators. We've had defensive coordinators leave. We've had all of that. Like, the only thing that's left is McDermott. Wow, Lindsay. Oh, this is the best one. Okay, I'm out after this. I'm gonna take my win and run. Says, I'm joining the dark side along Aramis Keys, Steve Lynn, and whoever else. I'm done with McDermott. I feel for Babbage not being able to coach the defense with his own schemes. Oh, yeah, it's only a matter of time before everybody else sees it. And when I started, I think we said this yesterday, and I think we said this Friday as well. When we first started the show, we didn't plan on coming in, to talk stuff about McDermott. I didn't know who McDermott was when we hired him. I had to do research and figure that out, right? But once I did the deep dive into him and looked at all his history and the players that he coached and then I read the Tyler Dunn report and all that kind of stuff. It was like, oh man. And then I started watching the games and watching the players we were drafting. Like, it all just kind of culminated into what you see now in terms of my perception on him. And this is just after a year of really like diving in and researching the guy. So it's probably going to take people that don't do the research a little bit longer to get to that point, but people are going to get tired of not winning the Super Bowl after, especially if we hit the 10-year mark and we don't have a Super Bowl, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. All right. So with that being said, the 50 people watching this right now to go ahead and hit that like button. I don't need you to hit the subscribe button. That is your choice. But what I do need you to do is hit that like button. That would be great. I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much to everybody that tuned in. We're going to do this every Tuesday. Every Tuesday. I think yesterday I said we would do it at 7:30. I'm able to work it out now where I can do it at 6:30 so I can get it out a little bit earlier and not keep everybody up late at night, including myself. Thank you, Lynn saying spectator. Yeah, defense hasn't been good since Leslie left. All right, I got to get out of here. Thank you so much to everybody that tuned in. You can catch me again on Post Podium Conversations next Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. is the time. Sharp. I'll be in here sharp when it's just me. No offense, Keyshawn. Just kidding. Don't tell him I said that. All right, I'll see y'all later. Y'all have a great night. Go Bills.